Our next guest is a man who helped us discover the BYU Sports Nation karma. He came on the show. The next game against San Diego, we had 28, which I think was a career high at BYU. Maybe it's Skyler Halford. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks. It's good to be here. I thought about that on the way over, the karma. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of BYU Sports Nation. It's real. I've seen it too many times.
It manifests itself strongly with you that game. It was like, whoa, what is this? First, let's get your reaction to the news that Kyle Collinsworth gets a second 10-day contract. What's it like as a former teammate to see him in the NBA?
I'm really happy for Kyle. I mean, as you guys know, and most people do, Kyle works his tail off. He just is a hard worker, not only in the gym, but, in the gym and outside of the gym. Obviously, we see all these things about, taking care of his body and the books he's writing. He's just the type of person that wants to be successful in every aspect of his life. And, I could go on and on about Kyle. I remember going over to his apartment one time, seeing goals written on his mirror and things like that. I mean, this kid's got aspirations. And so to see him get that second-day contract is big, and I hope he gets even more after that.
We've got a ton of basketball questions to ask you, but first and foremost, what are you up to these days?
Yeah, so since my senior year, I have worked, and then I went back to school, actually. I'm looking to apply to physical therapy school in July. And then throughout the time since I've left, I've been doing my business, Halford Hoops Training. And so I've been doing basketball trainings for kids of all ages, high school on down. And I actually had some opportunities to train Ty this summer, which was fun. And so it's been a good outlet for me. Rec basketball is not as good as playing.
You're playing in
playing here in the Marriott Center, but so it's a good outlet to teach and share what I've learned with other kids, and I've loved it. So I'm looking forward to PT school and continue on with the trainings.
So your former teammate Tyler Haas, all-time leading scorer at BYU, he goes, "Hey, can you help me on some stuff?" What's that conversation like?
It was more of me reaching out to him. Like, he knew I was doing it, and I was like, "Hey, Ty, if there's any time you ever want to jump in, let me know. We can get something working."
Like, you remember the Gonzaga game up there? Like, I had a pretty good game. Like, I can show you some stuff.
I got a few things here and there to show you. Yeah, it was fun working with him again, and Ty's a great competitor, so it was easy to work with him.
And you post videos on Instagram too, so if people want to.
Absolutely.
Obviously, they can contact you and get some more information from you.
We've got an Instagram page up for Halford Hoops and a Facebook page, and so you can follow tips and training drills and things like that on there.
I need some of this for my church ball exploits.
Anytime, Jarom. Anytime you can come.
Yes, I know.
You will be our guest.
I just don't want to. I just don't want to be with like the 10-year-old kids and not be able to do the move that they're doing on the Instagram videos. Oh no!
Do you have anything that can help someone be about 6 inches taller? Is that something you can help me with?
We're coming up with this new Halford Hoops formula that you drink. It's once it. No, I'm just kidding.
I would buy that. I would buy that in a second. How closely do you get to watch this BYU team this year?
Ever since I've left, I keep pretty close tabs on the games. We've been to a couple at the Marriott Center this year, and we usually watch most of them at home, if not at the game. And so we're following pretty closely, my wife and I. We watch it quite a bit.
What do you notice about this team that's 17-4, 2 losses in league, 1 in overtime, 1 by 1 on the road? The schematic changes, the personnel changes. What do you think of this group?
It's a great group. I love watching these guys play. It's so much different from when I played. So it's like I'm sitting there, and before, like the year after I played, like I'm seeing the things that we used to do, and I can identify things better. But now I'm really having to dial in and figure out what the schemes are. And I think they've done a great job, slowing it down. I was a little worried how that would go for them, but I think they've done a really good job transitioning to that. They're very balanced. Obviously, Elijah's and Yoli lead the team in scoring and things like that. But I feel like as a whole, defensively, on the defensive end, they're very balanced, very structured. And so I like that about them. I really like the defensive intensity and overall play since they've started focusing more on that.
Really big game for BYU tomorrow night in Moraga. Obviously, BYU lost the game in overtime at home.
Yeah.
You've been a part of this series, this rivalry, if you will. What are some of your best memories of this series against the Gales?
Oh, man. I remember, speaking of defense, we had probably the best defensive game that I can ever remember as a player when I was here against the Gales my senior year at home. We beat them 82-60, I think it was. I had to check to make sure. But that was one of the best memories for me as far as playing against the Gales, just because they had no answer for everything we were doing offensively, defensively. And when you're in that zone as a player, there's no better feeling. So it was really good. That was one. I remember another one being when they retired Deladova's jersey, and we beat them that night there.
Yep.
That was, that felt pretty good.
That's the one win in Moraga as a member of the WCC.
Yeah, so
That's the one.
that was a pretty funny story about that. So me personally, I didn't feel like I had a whole lot to do with that one. I didn't play very well in the first half, so I didn't play a lot in the second half either. I think I had 4 or 5, 6 minutes, something like that in the game total. But here I come, last few minutes of the second half, coach needed a free throw shooter, so throw me in there. I just remember being nervous, like, oh my gosh, I'm so cold. And I had to shoot those 2 free throws to put us up 3. And then it ended up sealing the game. They had to make the 3 instead of 2. Anyway.
So you are responsible single-handedly for that victory.
It's like the least contribution you ever have to put in to getting the most for the win.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was great.
That was the Eric Mika choke signal. Game 2.
I didn't want to mention that, but since you brought it up,
he's gone.
That was
statute of limitations. Skyler Halford, former BYU basketball players on BYU Sports Nation. We always like to explore the vitriol with St. Mary's. From a former player, Gonzaga, it's like there's this healthy respect, but St. Mary's, for some reason, there's this edge to it that's different. Why is that, in your opinion?
That's a great question. It's a hard one to answer. I think both teams are just Coach Bennett does a great job over there, and he coaches his guys to play efficiently, play smart, and they're gritty. And I think when you get 2 teams together like that, you get a grinded out battle into the end. Push, shove, it gets physical. And I think that creates that rivalry. So, it's a fun game to play in, but it's definitely physical and tough.
Here's what won't be said out loud, in my opinion, about whether it's from the players or just the fan bases. BYU feels like it's better than St. Mary's in a lot of ways. Yet, St. Mary's is 4-9, or BYU is 4-9 against them. Gonzaga, it's like, we can swallow our pride and acknowledge that they're a better program. Like, it's obvious. Yet BYU's 5-7 in the regular season, almost 500. There's something to it. Fan bases, gym size, athleticism. Agree or disagree?
No, it's interesting talking about the rivalry and which team is more of a rival. And hearing you guys talk to Coach Judkins about it too. For me as a player, it was Gonzaga. That was the one you looked forward to, obviously because of the rankings and things that they're in. But St. Mary's, like Coach Judkins mentioned, is, or maybe it was you guys, but they're always that team that BYU's been fighting for that second spot for, and so that creates that added X factor. I don't know what it is, but it creates that tension between the team to really get over the top. And then you hope that you win that one game or maybe 2 against Gonzaga to tie for first, or hopefully one day get that first place spot in the WCC. So that's kind of the vision I feel like at BYU we have. Is they're just in that second spot and we're in that third, or vice versa, and it just kind of flip-flops.
We acknowledge that winning the league is really hard with Gonzaga in it. So, yeah, you're right. Going for that second spot. Well, Skyler, it was great to have you back in studio.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your insights.
Yeah, so fun being here. I'm just sad we don't get to shave your head again.
You were the shaved head guy.
I forgot about that.
I had almost forgotten with the sheep shears.
I was trying to think of a bargain or bet or something, but I just couldn't think of anything.
Spencer's like, dude, do you want to put your hair on the line?
He said this yesterday. He said it yesterday.
I was like, they won 3 in a row. I'm pretty nervous.
And it looks pretty good
still.
right now. You've upped your game. I'll say that much. It looks so. Let's just leave it. Let's not shave it.
Yeah. What a classic. The most viral moment we've ever had here.
Yeah.